Today marks the 50th anniversary of my marriage to Axel Shu, and I carefully took down our wedding photo to dust it off. Crack tilde. Suddenly, my hand slipped, and the wedding photo fell to the ground, shattering the frame. I hurriedly picked it up, only to discover a piece of paper hidden behind the photo. I curiously opened it to look and found it was Axel Shu's infertility diagnosis from 50 years ago. Instantly, tears streamed down my face. For these 50 years, because I couldn't bear a child, he would either beat or scold me, and my mother-in-law treated me like a servant. Yet it turned out to be a deception all along. What are you crying for? I'm not dead yet. Why are you wailing like it's a funeral? Just then, Axel Shu barged in, cursing as usual. It was only noon, yet he was already drunk, reeking of alcohol. Furious, I shoved the medical report in front of him. What is this? I thought he would feel guilty, would apologize, but instead, he pushed me to the ground and started beating me. Who told you to touch my things? You know I can't perform, so you're looking for other men, aren't you? I'll beat you to death. Let's see if you dare to look for other men. He choked me violently, raining blows on me as if to kill me. I could barely breathe, and then, my head felt like it was splitting open. Gradually, darkness began to engulf me. So many times before, I thought I was going to die from his beatings, but I survived every time. This time, I know I'm really going to die, and I don't even want to live anymore. Just before my consciousness completely faded, I seemed to hear him screaming in agony, begging me not to leave him. He hid the truth from me because he was afraid I'd leave. In my final moments of awareness, I thought, if there's a next life, I'll stay as far away from him as possible. Opening my eyes again, I heard a gentle voice ask, Luna Lin, would you like to participate in the city's math competition? Winning can get you special admission into No. 1 high school. I stared in shock at my tiny hands, then looked around at the shabby, run-down classroom. I had actually gone back to 3rd grade, the first time my teacher asked me to join the math competition. Luna, you can't participate. Just then, a familiar voice spoke up. I turned to look and saw a young Axel Shu, looking at his determined expression towards me. I finally realized that his possessiveness over me had existed since childhood. In my past life, I mistook his possessiveness for love, but in this life, I refuse it. I turned back and gave the teacher a sweet smile. Teacher, I'll participate. No, you can't, Axel Shu roared. If you dare to participate, I'll have your father beat you to death. In my previous life, because of Axel Shu's words, I gave up a rare competition opportunity. After that, whenever there were chances for competitions at school, the teachers no longer considered me. And the reason Axel Shu stopped me was because he was afraid I might outperform him. But in this life, I won't let him have his way. I firmly told the teacher, Teacher, I want to participate. Then, I quickly ran up to Axel Shu, smiled sweetly, and said, if you let me join the competition, I'll do your homework for a month. In the past, to make him focus on his studies, I would force him to do homework and study with me. Now, I'm going to turn him into a good-for-nothing. Really? Axel Shu asked uncertainly. Absolutely. Let's pinky swear. I nodded vigorously. Okay. Axel Shu extended his little hand to pinky swear with me. At this time, Axel Shu was still a little kid and easy to fool. In my previous life, he played me for 50 years with alternating harshness and kindness. In this life, I'll return the favor in the same way. After school, Axel Shu bought me candy and asked, what would you do if you won an award? I immediately replied, if I win, the trophy and prize money will all be yours. Yay tilde, you focus on your homework. I'm going to play tilde, Axel Shu said excitedly, throwing his backpack into my arms before running off. Holding his backpack, I couldn't help but smile too. Right now, he's still a carefree and innocent little boy, which is quite endearing. I hope he can always maintain this kind of adorableness. When I got home, my parents were thrilled to hear that I had been selected to participate in the competition. My dad asked, is Axel Shu going too? I shook my head. He wasn't selected. My dad asked in surprise, then he agreed to let you compete. I paused. Why does everyone, my parents, teachers, classmates, and even myself, feel like I need Axel Shu's permission to participate in a competition? It was the same in my past life. Even though it was my own matter, I always had to get his approval first. Dad, the competition is my business. I should be the one to decide, I said firmly. My father was clearly taken aback. What kind of nonsense are you talking? Uncle Shu is your father, my lifesaver. Taking care of Axel Shu for Uncle Shu is the least you should do. In my previous life, it was because my father constantly reminded me of the life-saving favor Mr. Shu had done for him, making me tolerate Axel Shu in every way. Since childhood, whenever Axel Shu wanted something my mother bought for me, my father would make me give it to him. If Axel Shu didn't want me to play with something I liked, I couldn't play with it, and if Axel Shu wanted to play with something, I had to join him even if I didn't like it. I took him to kindergarten, and I took him to elementary school. Later, despite having excellent grades that could have gotten me into a top-tier high school, I chose to attend a local town school for his sake. Even though I scored well enough in advanced mathematics to get into a 985 university, I ended up attending a third-rate college with him. After graduation, under my father's arrangements, I married him. On the very first day of our marriage, he became violent towards me. Later, because I couldn't conceive, Axel Shu would take out his frustrations on me whenever he was upset. And what about my father? He clearly knew about my unhappy marriage. Yet he turned a blind eye. For my father's notion of repaying a debt of gratitude, I spent my entire previous life struggling under Axel Shu's shadow, living for him, given a second chance at life. I've come to understand that Axel Shu was truly the son in my father's heart. While I was merely a sacrificial offering for his sense of obligation, I secretly made up my mind. This lifetime, I will live for myself. As for my father's life-saving benefactor, let him repay the favor himself. But I know that right now, I'm still young, and Mom is just a housewife with no income, so I can't afford to fall out with Dad. With that in mind, I hid my thoughts and said obediently, Dad. I went to the competition, and Axel Shu was really happy. You can ask him when he gets back. My father's expression softened a bit, and he called out loudly to my mother, make one of Axel Shu's favorite dishes tonight to cheer him up. My mother responded from the kitchen. All right. I quietly returned to my room to do my homework. Sitting at my desk, my thoughts were in turmoil. If I was considered Axel Shu's follower, then my mother was practically the Shu family's servant. Not only did she cook all 3 meals a day, but she also washed the clothes for both mother and son Shu. On top of that, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, she had to go to their house to clean for them. My mother wears one piece of clothing, new for 3 years, old for 3 years, and mended for another 3 years. But what about Shu's mother? She gets new clothes every month. Now, I even suspect that after giving birth to me, my mother never got pregnant again. It was all my father's doing. No, I must help my mother break free from this predicament. I finished my homework, then helped my mom with the fire and picking vegetables. By the time the dishes were served, Mrs. Shu and her son arrived right on time. Axel Shu spotted the braised chicken legs and immediately sat in the seat closest to them. Without waiting for anyone, he grabbed one with his hand and started eating. Mrs. Shu, with her permed hair and wearing pearl earrings and a necklace, looked very stylish, like a young lady of high society. She sat at the table and immediately began to nitpick. Why aren't there any fresh string beans? My dad, hearing this, shot a glare at my mom. My mother quickly explained. There wasn't any at the market this morning. If there wasn't any in the morning, couldn't you have gone later? Mrs. Shu said disapprovingly. My father gently coaxed, she'll make it for you tomorrow. My mother remained silent. My mom goes to the early market at 5 a.m. every morning to save money. Back then, my dad and old Shu were comrades in arms. During a flood rescue mission, old Shu sacrificed himself to save my dad and was swept away by the floodwaters. After that, my dad brought old Shu's widow and son from the countryside to live with us and took care of them. Not only did he hand over his entire monthly salary to old Shu's widow, but he also made my mom give up her job at the electromechanical factory to her. Now, my mom has to ask old Shu's widow for daily expenses. Every time, she gives my mom a measly amount of money reluctantly and even treats her with disdain. Mom, the sweet potatoes are ready. Will you come eat them with me? I cooed. Tugging at my mother's sleeve, Mom smiled. Okay, The two of us, mother and daughter, squatted in the kitchen eating sweet potatoes, while my father and the Shu mother-son pair sat at the dining table eating dishes, looking more like a family of three. Watching my father eagerly serve food to the Shu mother and son, my resolve hardened. I must take my mother away from this household, then I must strengthen myself. After helping Mom wash the dishes, I went to study under the lamp. Axel Shu called me to play, but I coaxed him. I'm earning a bonus for you. Don't disturb me. Hearing about the bonus, Axel Shu stopped bothering me. In the blink of an eye, the day of the competition arrived. The teacher led the group of competition participants on their way, continuously encouraging the top students during the journey. As a first-time competitor, no one knew me or paid much attention to me, but I calmly entered the examination hall and began answering the questions. In my previous life, I was a math teacher and had worked with students on countless competition problems. This time, my goal is to take first place in the competition. Winning first place would give me the chance to skip a grade. I want to get into a prestigious university's gifted youth program. Then, citing my young age, I could apply for my mother to accompany and care for me at school. 10 days later, the competition results were announced, and as expected, I took first place. This is also the first time our school has achieved first place in the city. So, in addition to the competition prize money, the school also awarded me a bonus. The principal looked at me with great pride. First place qualifies directly for the provincial competition. Prepare well. You'll be participating next month. I patted my chest confidently. Don't worry, principal. I'll bring back first place for the school at the provincial level too. The principal and teachers were all very happy. Axel Shu was unhappy and gave me a sour look, saying, "How could you get first place? Didn't you say you wanted to eat roast chicken and also roast duck, but didn't know what to buy? So I worked hard to get first place to earn the prize money, so I could buy you both roast chicken and roast duck," I coaxed with a smile. Really? Axel Shu's eyes lit up upon hearing this. Of course it's true. Let's go buy it now. I took the initiative to hold his hand. Axel Shu followed me with a beaming smile. When we got home, I quickly ran to Mrs. Shu's room and handed her the remaining prize money. "Auntie, when I win a provincial award next time, I'll buy you a gold bracelet." Mrs. Shu, who had initially wanted to shoo me away after taking the money, burst into laughter upon hearing this. "How much prize money do you get for a provincial award?" I shook my head honestly. "I don't know, but I heard there will be bonuses from the province, the city, and the school. It should be enough to buy you a gold bracelet." Mrs. Shu blocked my view with her body, entered the password, and after a click, she used a key to open the safe. She put the money inside, closed the safe, and then stood up, asking with a forced smile, "Why buy it for me and not for your mother?" "My mother works every day and can't wear a gold bracelet," I said with sincere eyes. Mother Shu smiled with satisfaction. "Good boy, go play now." I turned and left. But before going, I stole a glance at where Mother Shu had put the safe key back, committing it to memory. A few days later, the electromechanical factory held a weekly anniversary celebration, and everyone in the compound happily went to attend. Using the excuse of preparing for a competition, I went to solve problems at the home of the math teacher in the opposite compound. "This is last year's competition paper. You have 120 minutes to complete it. Start working on the questions." The teacher placed the exam paper in front of me but craned her neck to look outside. Understanding her concern, I said, "Teacher, I'll be the only one here taking the test. I won't cheat. You can go enjoy the party." After a moment's hesitation, the teacher agreed. "The party happens to last 2 hours as well. Focus on your test then." "Okay," I replied with an obedient expression. Watching the teacher leave, I immediately put down the test paper and ran home as fast as I could. Entering Shu's mother's room, that day, although Shu's mother blocked my view, she forgot that there was a mirror hanging on her wall. Through the mirror, I memorized all the password numbers. I quickly opened Shu's mother's wardrobe, took the key from the bottom of a floral patterned cotton padded jacket, entered the password, and opened the safe. Then, I took off my coat and swept everything from the safe, wrapping it all inside the coat, locked the safe, returned the key to its original place, closed the wardrobe, and shut the door. quickly run to the base of the courtyard wall. There, a row of empty wine jars lay overturned on the ground. I chose one of the wine jars, flipped it upright, stuffed everything from my coat inside, then turned the jar back over and placed it neatly on the ground. 2 hours later, the teacher returned. I had finished all my test papers and even completed half of another one he had left aside. The teacher was very pleased. Pointing at the paper I was working on, he said, "Finish this one before you leave, it's perfect timing. I'll grade the one you've already done and go over your mistakes with you." "Okay, teacher." I responded with an obedient look and buried myself in the test questions. About half an hour later, the teacher exclaimed in pleasant surprise, "Full marks. You actually got full marks. It seems you really can take first place in the provincial competition this time." Before I could even feign modesty, my dad rushed over in a panic, his face dark with anger as he demanded, "Did you steal your Aunt Shu's money?" I blinked my eyes, looking utterly innocent. "Dad, I've been doing test papers with the teacher the whole time. How can you accuse me of stealing money? My safe has been emptied, and you were the only one who didn't attend the party. If it wasn't you, then who else could it be?" At this moment, Shu's mother also arrived and said sharply, with tearful eyes full of grievance, I looked at the teacher and said, "Teacher, I really didn't do it." Upon hearing this, the teacher immediately picked up 2 test papers. "I can vouch for her. This child has been doing test papers at my house all along. Look, this one is from last year's competition. She scored full marks this year. She is sure to win an award and bring honor to our school." The teacher grew more and more impassioned as she spoke, but Shu's mother and my father showed no interest in whether I could win an award or not. My father asked suspiciously, "Teacher, are you sure she was really at your place the whole time?" "Exactly. Could she have sneaked back home to steal money?" Shu's mother chimed in. "Dad, all your money is locked in Aunt Shu's safe, down to the last penny, even when Mom buys a cabbage. She has to record it. What more do you want from us?" I seemed to be choked with anger, my voice breaking as I spoke. Hearing this, the teacher's expression turned cold. This test paper, most students can't even finish it in 2 hours. How could she possibly have time to run back home? Besides, apart from this paper, she also completed half of another one within those 2 hours. If you don't believe me, let Axel Shu come and try. He doesn't need to score full marks. Just finish this 1.5 papers in 2 hours. Upon hearing this, my dad and Shu's mother backed down. I quickly said timidly, "Dad, Auntie, if money is missing at home, maybe we should call the police." The teacher, upon hearing this, also defended me, saying, "Yes. If there's been a theft at home, call the police. Don't wrong the child." At this point, my dad and Shu's mother exchanged glances. My dad then said apologetically to the teacher, "It's getting late, we won't disturb you further, we'll take her home." Mother Shu chimed in, "It's just a single bill that's missing. No need to call the police, no need to call the police." I followed them home, already certain they wouldn't dare report it to the police, because besides the money, there were also 2 gold bars inside. Just these 2 gold bars alone could buy a top-notch commercial apartment, with my father and Shu's mother's salaries. There's absolutely no way they could have this much money. It was all embezzled by Shu's mother and my father. In my previous life, when their embezzlement was exposed, Shu's mother immediately pushed my father to take the blame. He was sentenced to 7 years and died in prison due to illness. My mother passed away early. My father was in prison, and with no maternal family left, Shu's mother didn't even see me as worth her attention. In this lifetime, whatever you embezzle, I'll steal. I'll leave you with neither money nor people." Watching my dad and Shu's mother with their gloomy faces, sighing in despair, my mood was exceptionally good. Even though I was punished and could only eat sweet potatoes, I still had one extra. Finally, the day arrived for me to go to the provincial capital for the competition. The day before departure, Axel Shu pestered me, saying he wanted to go with me to the provincial competition. I was exasperated and said, "If you come along, you'll have to buy your own ticket, pay for your own meals and hotel. It'll cost a lot of money. Where would you get that kind of money?" Axel Shu replied matter-of-factly, "My mom has money, I'll just ask her for it." I was secretly shocked. I had taken all of Mrs. Shu's money, and payday hadn't arrived yet. Where would the money come from? I feigned confusion and asked, "Didn't your mom say everything was stolen?" Axel Shu replied, "Your dad gave it to me." I was astonished. My father had previously given all his money to Shu's mother. Given his character, it was impossible for him to have any left. Besides, if my father had dared to hide any private savings, Shu's mother would have already resorted to tears, tantrums, and threats. She would never have remained so calm. So where did my father get the money in such a short time? Although puzzled, I agreed to go to the provincial capital with Axel Shu, because if I didn't agree, he would make such a fuss that I wouldn't be able to participate in the competition. Carrying my backpack, I returned home to find my mother lying weakly in bed. I quickly asked, "Mom, what's wrong?" Her face pale, she replied weakly, "Just a cold. Don't worry." Suddenly, a bad premonition struck me. In my previous life, my mother had passed away from a sudden illness. "Mom, you can barely speak. It's definitely not just a cold. I'm taking you to the hospital right now." I immediately helped her up and started heading out. No need to go to the hospital. I won't go." My mother struggled with her last bit of strength, adamantly refusing to go to the hospital. "Mom, if you don't go, no one will do the laundry or cook. Dad will make me do it. Then I won't be able to study. I'll end up like you, stuck at home doing chores forever, serving them like a servant for the rest of my life." I snapped, shouting through tears, seeing me in tears. My mother's eyes welled up. After choking back sobs for a long time, she finally told the truth. "Your father said he was taking me for a health checkup, but he actually sold one of my kidneys." What? Upon hearing this, I was both shocked and furious, my anger reaching its peak. How could he be so cruel? No. I must demand an explanation from him. My mother used all her strength to hold me back. "You're still young. Don't fight with your father. As long as you're safe and sound, everything is worth it for me." Fearing my mother's wounds might worsen, I tearfully helped her lie down. To please the Shu family mother and son, my father actually cut out my mother's kidney and abandoned her at home to fend for herself. I must take revenge for this hatred. I swear, I will make them die a horrible death. I took some money, rushed to the hospital, and begged the doctor to prescribe anti-inflammatory medicine for my mother to take. At this moment, Mother Shu and her son returned. Axel Shu, dressed in new clothes and shoes, said cheerfully, "I'm going to the provincial capital tomorrow. I have to wear new clothes, or people will think I'm a country bumpkin." I thought to myself sarcastically, "Actually, it's me who's going for the competition." Okay, suppressing my anger, I smiled and praised, "You look so handsome. But with all these big and small bags, we two kids can't carry them all. How about asking your mom to come with us?" Mrs. Shu, who overheard from nearby, immediately refused. "You little brat, how dare you order me around to serve you? If you want someone to serve you, ask your own mother to go." My dad immediately ordered my mom without hesitation. "Axel is still young. You go with him. Make sure to take good care of him. If he suffers any grievances, I'll beat you to death when we get back." "Dad, Auntie, don't worry. Mom and I will definitely take good care of Axel Shu and won't let him suffer the slightest grievance." I quickly responded obediently. My dad then turned a cold face to my mom and said, "The train tickets to the provincial capital are already expensive enough. Don't spend any extra money." My mom nodded in agreement. Before setting off, I borrowed a game console from a classmate and coaxed all the money from Axel Shu, buying him lots of delicious snacks. Once on the train, he happily munched on snacks and played games, not causing us any trouble. After a 5-hour train ride and another hour by car, we arrived near the competition venue. I immediately checked into a luxurious hotel with a TV. At that time, we didn't have a TV in our compound. As soon as Axel Shu saw the TV, he couldn't take his eyes off it. Eating, drinking, and even using the bathroom all happened right there in the hotel. "Axel Shu, we're going downstairs to look around. Want to come?" I asked him on purpose. He didn't even bat an eye and snapped, "Get lost, don't bother me." I left the snacks I bought for him by his side and took my mom to the nearby hospital. After the examination, the doctor said, "Fortunately, the infection isn't severe. A week of hospitalization should suffice." My mom got anxious upon hearing this. You're only competing for 5 days, you can't be hospitalized for 7, I reassured her. It's fine, with Axel Shu here, Dad won't get angry, eventually. I managed to calm my mom down. Mom, take this money to buy meals. I'll go to the hotel first to check on Axel Shu. I handed my mom a few bills. My mother held the money, looking at me with tearful eyes and a pained heart. You came here to compete, but now you have to take care of Axel Shu and also look after me. Mom is sorry for you. I smiled and gently wiped the tears from her face. Mom, don't worry, I'll definitely win first place. After comforting my mother, I hurried back to the hotel. On the way, I bought a roast chicken and a new gaming console. Axel Shu was overjoyed when he saw them. He devoured the whole chicken while watching TV and playing with the new game console. I said slowly, Axel Shu, the money your mom gave is too little for us to stay in such a nice hotel. So I had my mom work as a dishwasher at a nearby restaurant to earn some money. They provide food and accommodation, so she won't be back for the next few days. Axel Shu was delighted to hear this. Perfect. She looks so shabby. I wouldn't want to share a room with her anyway. Hiding the cold glint in my eyes, I sat aside to work on practice problems. Early the next morning, after preparing 3 meals for Axel Shu, I headed to the competition venue to meet up with the teachers and classmates who had also come to participate. A girl looked at me with disdain and said, TSK, how did someone like you even get in? Just here to have fun under the guise of competition. Huh, don't embarrass our city. I didn't know the other participants from different schools, so I didn't explain and just followed them into the competition venue. The first day was the preliminary round, a knockout system that eliminated 30% of the participants. The competition was held in the morning, and the results were announced in the afternoon. I came in second place, and that girl got eliminated. She came running over, crying and accusing me. You poor country bumpkin, how could you possibly get second place? Did you cheat? I calmly replied. In places you can't see, I worked 100 times harder than you. She gritted her teeth and said, don't get too cocky. Next time, I'll definitely be better than you. I said calmly, in mathematics, besides hard work, there's also talent. You can work as hard as I do, but you might not have my talent. She raised her hand angrily, about to hit me, resorting to violence when you can't win. That's low. At that moment, a male voice spoke up. I turned to look. It was a stranger, a boy. I'm Jiangzhu from Jing City, scored 1 point higher than you in the preliminaries. First place. The boy introduced himself confidently. The moment the girl saw Jiangzhu, she seemed mesmerized, her face lit up with admiration. So handsome and smart. My ideal type, I pouted and said. Judging by your height, you must be a high school student. Right, just 1 point higher than me, a primary school student, nothing to boast about. Instead of getting angry, the boy laughed. You're quite the character, kid. Looking forward to the semifinal results, I can't be bothered with him. After the preliminary rankings were announced, the placements for the next day's semifinals came out. Once I checked them, I left in a hurry. First, I went to buy some fruit and a can of milk powder, then rushed to the hospital. After receiving an 4 drip for the inflammation, my mom looked much better. My heart feels a bit more at ease. Because I took Shu's mother's money, which led to my own mother having to sell a kidney, I've been filled with guilt. Now that mom is getting better, I feel much better. Seeing a few pieces of bread by her bedside, I sighed. I knew it. Even with the money, my mom would still be reluctant to buy herself anything good to eat. I made her some milk powder and said, Mom, I came in second in the preliminary round today. I'm sure I can win a prize this time. My mother was very happy and kept saying it was good. Mom, your daughter will become more and more outstanding. You must take good care of your health so you can see me standing on the highest podium in the future. I looked at her with burning eyes. Besides, no matter how much you save, this money will just be spent by others. We should treat ourselves better. My mother's eyes turned red upon hearing this. You've really grown up, Mom. My father doesn't have me in his heart, nor does he have you, so we must love ourselves, eat what we should eat, drink what we should drink. I took out a few large meat buns and handed them over, persuading her. My mother looked at my serious expression and nodded. All right, I'll listen to you. After paying that day's expenses for my mom, I went to buy some roast duck and hurried back to the hotel, where Axel Shu was playing video games with dark circles under his eyes. "I bought you some roast duck, eat it while it's hot," I said. "Don't bother me." Axel Shu kept his head down, focused on the game. "Then I'll feed you." With no other choice, I unwrapped the oiled paper, broke off a duck leg, and brought it to his lips. He ate it as if it were the most natural thing in the world. He could indulge in games, but he couldn't afford to get sick. Otherwise, once my competition was over, my mom wouldn't have peace at the hospital either. After making sure he was fed, I still stuffed cotton balls into my ears and began working on practice problems. For this competition, my goal is first place. Only first place can change the fate of me and my mother. Today, that Jiangsu is not to be underestimated. I must give it my all. In the second day semifinals, Jiangsu and I were once again separated by just 1 point. I was first, he was second, and among the participants from our city, I was the only one left. The lead teacher, Mr. Cao, who was the academic director of City No. 1 High School, looked at me with eager anticipation and said, "For the finals, regardless of whether you come in first or second place, our school will make an exception and admit you." I quickly assured him, "Don't worry, teacher. I will definitely achieve good results and get into No. 1 High School." Mr. Cao was very pleased. When the final results came out, Mr. Cao was even more satisfied. First place in the entire province, and this time, the provincial competition invited the Beijing team to participate as a friendly match. This first place not only brings honor to our city but also to the entire province. "Teacher, can I get into No. 1 High School?" I asked directly. "Of course, absolutely. Come report to No. 1 High School next semester." Teacher Cao held my trophy, patted my head, and laughed heartily. Jiangsu appeared before us at that moment, sizing me up. "Looking forward to seeing you again at the national competition." I calmly accepted the challenge. "I'm looking forward to it too." At this point, I had already learned from Teacher Cao that Jiangsu was the crown prince of the Beijing elite circle, a math prodigy, at just 13 years old. He was already a university student in the gifted youth program of a top-tier institution. This time, he was here to compete, invited just for fun. Jiangsu curled his lips slightly. "If you can still beat me in the national competition, I'll get you into the gifted youth program. Are you sure?" I asked him with sparkling eyes. "I'm certain," he said with conviction. "Deal." I nodded calmly. After Jiangsu left, Teacher Cao patted my head and coaxed, "When we go back, you'll come to No. 1 High to complete the enrollment procedures. That way, our school will have one more student admitted to the elite youth program of top universities." I smiled and handed all my trophies and certificates to Teacher Cao to take back. "Teacher Cao, it's my first time in the provincial capital. I'll stay a couple more days before returning." Teacher Cao now likes me immensely and naturally agreed. Axel Shu doesn't care at all and has no idea about my competition situation. Being completely absorbed in games and TV day and night, I stayed peacefully at the hospital with my mom, completed all the necessary tests, got enough medication, and only after handling the discharge procedures did we return to the hotel. "Axel Shu, we're checking out tomorrow morning and need to go back." I said to Axel Shu, "Going back after just a few days, I haven't had enough fun yet. Let's go back in a few more days." Axel Shu said unhappily, "Your mom only gave us this little money. Now even if my mom spends all her earnings from washing dishes, it still wouldn't be enough. If we can't pay the rent, we'll have to live on the streets." I said calmly, "My mom is just too stingy, only giving this little money. I won't let her off when I get back." Axel Shu stomped his feet, grumbling as he followed us home. As soon as we returned to the compound, before we could even steady ourselves, Mrs. Shu scolded with a dark face, "You two took my money and went off to enjoy yourselves. Didn't you? How come others came back days ago, and you're only arriving now?" Before we could say anything, Axel Shu said angrily, "Mom, I haven't finished watching several cartoons, but they forced me to come home, saying we ran out of money. You should buy a TV for the house. Even the hotels in the provincial capital have TVs." With a look of grievance, I said, "From the very first day we arrived, My mom started washing dishes downstairs for others just so Axel could stay in a hotel with a TV, but the money she earned wasn't enough, so we had no choice but to come back. At this, Mrs. Shu fell silent. She knew it was her precious son who didn't want to come home and who had spent all the money. So she turned to my mom and said, "The laundry hasn't been done for days. I'm almost out of clothes to wear. Go wash the clothes." I take a glance. She's wearing new clothes again. And she says she has nothing to wear. People can really be this shameless. I'm speechless, remembering the doctor's advice before discharge, not to let my mom frequently touch cold water. I told her to cook while I did the laundry, looking at the piles of dirty clothes Shu's mother had changed out of. The hatred in my heart began to sprout and grow, but for now, I'm still too young, too weak. We can only wait. A week later, the school held a grand awards ceremony. Over the years, I was the first in the city to win first place in the provincial competition. What's more, I was already scouted by the city's top high school in 3rd grade, making the principal and homeroom teacher beam with joy. After the ceremony, I went to the principal's office. "Principal, when announcing the school's reward for me publicly, could you report a smaller amount?" "Why?" the principal asked me in surprise. "I want to save some money to buy my mom a new set of clothes and a new pair of shoes. I also want to buy myself a new pair of shoes. I'll be participating in a national competition soon, and I don't want others to laugh at me." The more I spoke, the more aggrieved I felt, and tears began to stream down my face. The principal looked at me. My sleeves were too short, ending above my wrists. My pants were too long, rolled up several times. And my shoes were clearly several sizes too small, with holes in both, exposing a large part of my big toes. Seeing this, the principal sighed and said, "Your father is really too careless. No matter how much he wants to repay a debt of gratitude, he should still take care of his own child." My family's affairs are well known throughout the entire county, and it seems the principal is also aware of them. Principal, during the last provincial competition, people laughed at me. I didn't want to embarrass the school or the city, I added tearfully. Upon hearing this, the principal immediately agreed and instructed the school accountant to give me an additional 100 yuan. Overwhelmed with gratitude, I pleaded with the principal, "Please don't tell anyone. If my father finds out, he won't leave me a single cent." The principal nodded sympathetically. I kept the 100 yuan for myself and gave the rest of the bonus to my dad. That evening, the family bought roasted chicken and duck, which Axel Shu loved. I could only smell the aroma but didn't get to eat a single piece of meat. At the dinner table, Mrs. Shu said with a pained expression, "My poor baby, you can't even afford meat normally. No wonder you're wolfing it down like this when you finally get to eat some." My dad nodded in agreement. My mom and I lowered our heads, not for any other reason but to avoid seeing their disgusting faces. Over the weekend, I took my mom shopping. I bought the cheapest clothes and shoes for both of us, yet my mom still smiled happily. When Shu's mother saw us returning home in new clothes, she flew into a rage and started screaming, "You two bitches, still claiming you didn't steal my money. If not, where did you get the money for new clothes?" snapped Tilda. Before we could even open our mouths to explain, my dad had already rushed over. Raising his hand to hit my mom, I quickly stepped in front of my mom and caught my dad's slap. "Fut Tilda." The next second, I spat out a mouthful of blood. One of my front teeth had fallen out. When my mom saw this, she instantly flew into a rage, rushed over, and slapped my dad. "You can hit me, but not my daughter." My dad froze for a second, then clenched his fists and struck my mom hard. "You damn woman. How dare you hit me? I'll beat you to death." I know my mom is no match for my dad. Without a second thought, I rushed up to Mrs. Shu and slapped her several times in quick succession. She let out a piercing scream like a pig being slaughtered, but I didn't stop. I grabbed her hair tightly and used all my strength to throw her to the ground. "Dad, if you don't let go of my mom, I'll beat this woman to death," I shouted. Tilda." Mother Shu screamed in pain and started wrestling with me, which startled the entire courtyard, drawing everyone out to watch. Even the principal from the courtyard across the street came over. With everyone pulling us apart, we were finally separated. My mother and I were in a sorry state. Our brand new clothes were completely torn. Understanding the whole story, the principal gave my father a cold glance and said, "The money she used to buy clothes was an extra reward from the school. Look at her. She represented the city in a provincial competition wearing clothes made 3 or 4 years ago, and her shoes were just as old and worn out. If she wasn't embarrassed, I, as the principal, certainly was." So the school decided to give her an extra reward to buy new clothes so she could look presentable when she represents the province in the national competition next time. The child is filial. She even bought her mother a new outfit. How is that stealing? The principal's words immediately made everyone cast disdainful looks at my father and Mrs. Shu, and they began to murmur among themselves, "It's understandable to repay kindness. But repaying it to the point of making your own wife and children serve others like slaves or servants, that's really rare. But, if you didn't know better, you'd think those two were the couple, and Luna and her mother were just maids or servants. They're always stuck together every day, just a man and a woman alone. There's definitely something going on between them." Bullshit. My relationship with my sister-in-law is completely innocent, my dad snapped angrily, then turned his fury on my mom. "If you don't have clothes to wear, go buy some. You don't even know how to get clothes for the kid. It's not like I've ever shortchanged you on money." I pulled my mom aside and stretched out my hand. "Then give us the money, Mom, and I will go buy a new set right now." My dad pulled out 10 yuan. Everyone burst into mocking laughter. Someone shouted loudly, "Are you treating us like beggars?" Another chimed in, "Even the clothes on a beggar's back are worth more than 10 yuan. My father's face flushed red, as if steeling himself, then pulled out 100 yuan and handed it over. "Take it." I grabbed her and pulled my mother out the door. My mother looked at me with heartache. "We're not buying clothes. Let's go check your teeth." I shook my head. "Mom, those are baby teeth. They'll grow back." Tears streamed down my mother's face. "He's truly too cruel. My poor daughter." "Mom, when I grow up a bit more, things will get better. We'll be fine." I comforted my mother and took her back to that clothing store. This time, I picked out expensive brand B clothes for both myself and my mom, then went to eat a bowl of beef noodles, spending all our money before heading home. As soon as we got home, we found that my father had thrown all of mine and my mother's belongings out of the house, shouting, "Get out, both of you, go live in the kitchen." I wasn't angry. In fact, I felt somewhat happy, gathering our things. I took my mom to see the principal. "Principal, may I temporarily stay in a teacher's dormitory?" I pleaded pitifully. "My mother and I have been kicked out. I can pay the rent to the school with the prize money from the national competition." Upon hearing this, the principal smiled and said, "As long as you win any prize in the national competition, gold, silver, or bronze, the school will give you a dormitory for free. Don't worry, Principal, I'll definitely win. If I don't, you can kick me out immediately." I thumped my chest and declared confidently. The principal agreed with a smile and personally took us to the school's teacher dormitory, handed over the keys, and even provided bedding, a wash basin, a broom, and other daily necessities. I gratefully said, "Principal, rest assured, I will bring honor to our school." The principal smiled with relief and said, "You didn't let the difficulties overwhelm you. Well done." Upon hearing that we had moved in, several teachers living in the dormitory brought us daily necessities and food, including pots, pans, and dishes. After thanking these teachers, my mother quickly tidied up the dormitory until it was spotless. I sighed contentedly. "Mom, it's just the two of us living together. So happy." My mother was also delighted, looking at the ingredients the teachers had brought. She said, just the two of us. How wonderful. I'll make you braised pork with Chinese cabbage." I responded cheerfully, "Okay." This meal, though it was just one dish, we ate with great joy and satisfaction. That night, we slept nestled together, exceptionally soundly. But these comfortable days didn't last 3 days before my father came, calling my mother to return home, because without my mother there, no one was left to serve him, to serve the Shu family mother and son, for now. We couldn't stand up to my father and had no choice but to obey him. In the blink of an eye, the day to participate in the national competition arrived. This time, Axel Shu was clamoring to come along again. "I've never been to Kyoto either. I'll accompany the two kids there. This time." Shu's mother was also very enthusiastic. I actively encouraged them to go, because I was the only participant from our city. Teacher Kao from No.1 High School volunteered to mentor me one-on-one. We stayed directly at the competition's designated hotel, so Shu and his mother couldn't reach me at all. Most importantly, with them away from home, my mom could live a little more comfortably. They took the same train to Kyoto as we did. Though we didn't sit together, we were in the same carriage. Before setting off, I reminded Mrs. Shu to buy some snacks for the journey, but she dismissed the idea with disdain. She said, I don't want to look as shabby as you and be laughed at. If Axel wants to eat, we'll just buy it along the way. I have money. I smiled and said nothing more. Throughout the trip, Axel Shu kept wanting to eat this and that. Everything on the train was expensive, and seeing Mrs. Shu's pained expression was particularly satisfying to me. Last time, when we went to the provincial capital for the competition, the journey was short, but this time, it was a full 28 hours, and Axel Shu's restless nature made it unbearable. He kept fussing, making Mrs. Shu lose her temper several times, but with everyone in the car staring at her, she had to hold it back. After enduring the ride, they finally arrived at the hotel. Axel Shu took one look and, seeing no TV in the designated hotel, immediately refused to stay, throwing himself on the floor in protest. With no other choice, his mother took him to a nearby hotel that had a TV. Before leaving, she made sure to taunt me. We're going to a 5-star luxury hotel. You can only dream of such luxury. I said indifferently, then I wish you happiness. This is Kyoto, where the cost of living is over 10 times higher than back home. A single night at a luxury hotel would cost as much as Mrs. Shu's monthly salary. Add to that Axel Shu's gluttonous habits. I'm sure she's spent an entire year's wages over these 10 days. Let's see if it makes her sick to her stomach. But honestly, I couldn't care less about that now. The competition at this national event is fierce, and I must be fully focused. Fortunately, the national competition brings together representatives from each province. With a large number of participants, the results of each match are announced the next day, and the breaks in between provide the perfect opportunity for me to analyze the exam questions and make predictions. Predicting the right questions. This is the valuable experience I gained from guiding students through various competitions in my previous life. As a result, I ranked 11th in the preliminary round. And by the semifinals, I had climbed to 6th place. After seeing the rankings, I went to the library provided for participants to study, picked up a few books, and started working on the problems. Ranked 6th in the preliminaries, it won't be easy to make it into the top 3 in the finals. At that moment, a teasing voice chimed in. I looked up and saw Jiang Zhu. I won first place among university students and am about to form a team for the international competition. But only the top 3 from each competition are eligible to participate, Jiang Zhu said, looking at me with interest. Don't worry, I'll definitely make it into the top 3, I said with certainty. I urgently need various major awards to enrich and strengthen myself now. This is a great opportunity, and I won't let it slip away. Jiang Zhu curled the corner of his mouth and handed me a book. If you can't understand it, you can use it as a pillow to sleep on. I took a look. Variables and functions. I had just been searching for this book too, but the librarian said this was an elementary and middle school library and didn't have it. I never expected he would give me a copy. Thank you, I said gratefully. You're welcome, kid. Jiang Zhu waved his hand and walked away. I watched his retreating figure. He was dressed head to toe in designer clothes and shoes, the epitome of a wealthy young master. I knew that having any connection with someone like him would be beneficial for my future, so I had to make it into the top 3. I quickly opened the book and buried myself in reading. During the finals, when I saw the questions, I was instantly overjoyed. Awesome. Another successful prediction of the exam questions this time. I scored 1 point higher than the second place and won the championship. Teacher Kao was so thrilled that he immediately called the principal of No.1 High School. You can put up the celebration notice now. Student Luna Lin has won first place nationally representing our school. I tugged at his sleeve and whispered, Teacher Kao, I'm still a student at County 3rd Elementary School. Teacher Kao wouldn't hear it. I've already entered your information into our school's student records. You're officially a student of No. 1 high school now." I smiled helplessly. After he hung up, I called the principal of our elementary school to share the good news. The principal was overjoyed and praised me, saying, "You've made us proud, kid. I'll announce it to the whole school right away and then go to your house to deliver the good news." "Principal, just tell my mom," I reminded him. The principal paused for a moment. "Understood. When you return victorious, the whole school will celebrate your achievement." "Thank you, principal," I replied before hanging up the phone. I returned to the hotel to pack my things and went to find the Shu family, mother and son. Since I was going home, I should at least let them know. Unexpectedly, as soon as we reached the hotel lobby, we saw Mrs. Shu waiting outside, her hair disheveled. It turned out that a day earlier, Mrs. Shu, feeling stifled in the hotel, had wanted to go out. But Axel Shu didn't feel like moving and preferred to stay in the hotel watching TV and playing games. The disagreement led to an argument between mother and son. Mother Shu, in a fit of anger, slapped Axel Shu, who then ran out crying. A whole day and night passed, and he still hadn't been found. Mother Shu came to see me the day before, but was stopped outside. The security guard told her, during the finals, even if their own mother died, the kids must not be told. Mother Shu was furious. Now that she saw me, she vented all her anger on me, shouting that I must find Axel Shu and bring him back, or else she would kill me. Teacher Cow, who was standing nearby, listened with a face full of rage and said, "You, as a mother, couldn't even control your own child. How can you expect another child to find him for you? She is now the treasure of our No. 1 high school, and I must take her back safe and sound. Call the police yourself if you want to find him." After speaking, Teacher Cow completely ignored Shu's mother's crying and fussing, and very forcefully pulled me away by the hand. Shu's mother tried to come forward and grab me, but Teacher Cow showed no mercy, pushing her away. "This shameless woman, don't come near us." I secretly gave Teacher Cow a thumbs up in my heart. What a real man. I returned home comfortably, and many people came to congratulate me upon hearing the news, including the principal and numerous teachers from the school. My mother prepared a table full of dishes to thank them and quietly said to me, "Your father answered her call and hurried off to Kyoto. He should still be on the train now. It's rare for us mother and daughter to have a few peaceful days to ourselves." I was overjoyed to hear this and nodded repeatedly. A month and a half later, my father returned with Mrs. Shu and her son, and during that month and a half, I had already been accepted into the Gifted Youth Program at Capital University and received the admission letter. I also received the international competition invitation sent by Jiang Shu. I had already become a household name as a prodigy math girl, and everyone in the compound was proud. Whenever they went out, they would say, "The national first-place elementary school student is from our compound." But clearly, my dad and the Shu family mother and son didn't know. Because this past month and a half was the darkest time of their lives, before my dad could make it to the capital, Shu's mother ran out of money. The hotel owner, noticing her flirtatious demeanor, told her she could sell herself to cover the room fees. Mother Shu actually agreed. Then, as luck would have it, during a vice raid, she got arrested and was locked up for half a month. By the time my dad arrived, Mother Shu had already been arrested, and Axel Shu still hadn't been found. My dad was frantic with worry. Over there, he begged and pleaded with everyone, and finally managed to bring the mother and son back, because my father had asked someone from the neighboring compound who had gone to Kyoto for opportunities, and that person called back to spread the news. It wasn't long before everyone knew about it. All the way back, my father and the Shu mother-son pair were subjected to pointing fingers and gossip, since they weren't doing well themselves. They couldn't stand to see me doing better. When they heard that I had joined the national team and was about to represent the country in international competitions, the Shu mother-son pair strongly objected. Of course, my father didn't agree. My father disagreed and refused to provide the household registration for the overseas procedures, so naturally, I couldn't go. Then, the principal came with the director of the Education Bureau. The director of the Education Bureau said sternly, "This child now represents the nation, not just your family. If you disagree, You're harming the national interest. I'll directly notify your factory to have you fired," the principal added. "To ensure that Luna can focus on preparing for the competition, she will move into the school dormitory immediately. As the pride of our school, she is granted a special dormitory room." Hearing this, I exclaimed happily, "I want my mom to come with me." The principal immediately agreed, "Of course." At that moment, the director of the electromechanical factory also arrived and sternly pointed at my dad and Shu's mother, saying, "If you dare to stop the child from bringing glory to our country, both of you will be fired." My dad and Mrs. Shu didn't dare to speak. My mom and I quickly packed our things and were about to leave. At that moment, Axel Shu jumped out, "I want to go with Luna." Before I could refuse, Mrs. Shu disagreed. "No, you're my son." I breathed a sigh of relief. Then ran back to the kitchen, picked up a jar of pickled vegetables, and left. All the neighbors in the compound came to see me off. In their eyes, I was a phoenix soaring out, destined for great success in the future. Each of them urged me to come back and visit often when I had the time. Surrounded by them, I reached the compound's gate when suddenly, Mrs. Shu rushed over and tried to snatch the jar, shouting, "There must be money hidden in this jar. This little wretch stole my money and hid it inside." "No, there isn't." I dodged her. "It's not true," snapped Hilda. The next second, in the scramble, Mother Shu flung the jar away. The jar shattered, and the pickled vegetables scattered all over the floor. This was made by my mom. She made 3 jars. And I just wanted to take one. "Is that too much to ask? You're being so unfair," I wailed in grievance. The neighbors watched, all condemning Mrs. Shu. "She dresses up every day like a peacock. Spending money like water. She must have squandered the Shu family's fortune herself and then turned around to falsely accuse Luna and her mother of stealing." "You're absolutely right. That's exactly it. This is just the kind of thing she'd do, a woman who'd sell herself for money, yet accuses others of stealing her face. How shameless." My father listened, furious, but he didn't dare vent his anger at the neighbors, so he turned to us, mother and daughter, and said, "If you step out of this door, I won't give you a single cent from now on. Then will you come asking us for money?" I raised my eyes and met his gaze directly. My father's face darkened. "Where would you get money? You won't even last a month before you come crawling back to me, starving." "In that case, let all the neighbors bear witness. My mother and I will never ask them for money, and they can't ask us for it either. Whoever asks for money is no better than an animal," I declared loudly. My father raised his hand to hit me as soon as he heard. "You little brat, how dare you call me an animal?" A male neighbor stepped forward, grabbed my father's hand, and said coldly, "You kicked this orphaned mother and child out without a single penny. If you still demand money from them in the future, what else are you if not an animal?" Most of the neighbors in the compound worked at the electromechanical factory, and many held higher positions than my father. My father was furious but didn't dare to confront the crowd. He shook off the neighbor's hand and stormed back into the house. Mother and son Shu left, grumbling and cursing. My mother and I thanked the neighbors and happily moved into the school dormitory. Actually, I had long buried the money I took from Mrs. Shu under the big tree in front of the school dormitory. Because I knew I would return, I dug up the jar where I had hidden the money and concealed all of it within my books. My mother packed her things and, seeing me flipping through books, sighed, "I'll go find a job sweeping floors to support your education." I stepped forward and hugged her. "Mom, you know how to make clothes. Tomorrow, I'll buy you a sewing machine. You can make clothes and sell them at the school gate." "Where would you get the money for a sewing machine?" my mother exclaimed in surprise. "I saved some of the prize money from the competition," I said with a sly grin. My mother shook her head and said, "Keep it for yourself. Mom can earn her own money." "Mom, just sell a few more clothes. Once you earn the money, you can pay me back," I said with a sweet smile. Finally, my mother agreed. Early the next morning, I took her to buy a sewing machine, some fabric, and then to the bookstore, where I got her several books on clothing. That evening, my mom made me a new set of clothes. I looked so good in them. "Mom, I'm going out for a walk right now to advertise for you." My mom laughed at me for being silly, but I actually succeeded. After just 2 rounds of walking, I brought my mom 2 orders. They took measurements right away and asked her to make the clothes. My mom chuckled and said, "I never thought you weren't much to look at, but once you put on these clothes, you really stand out. That just shows how well made your clothes are." I praised. Life with my mother stabilized, and I focused on preparing for the international competition. There are too many geniuses in the world. Hard work is essential. Having won the national championship, I had already received the admission letter to the Capital University's Gifted Youth Program. Axel Shu was in 4th grade. While I was already a university student, he came to me and demanded. Xiao Chong's grandfather bought him a game console from abroad, and it's the envy of everyone. "When you go abroad for the competition, you must buy me an even better one to outdo Xiao Chong. Otherwise, I'll beat you to death." I glanced sideways at him. Still a mischievous little brat who loved to play and fight, yet he kept saying he would beat me to death. This made me realize deeply that living apart from them could only bring temporary freedom. To truly break free from Mrs. Shu and her son, I had to make my father sever ties with them. Otherwise, as my father's daughter, I would forever be suppressed by the so-called blood ties. "Alright, I'll definitely buy it for you. The newest and the best," I agreed. Axel Shu was overjoyed and skipped away. I called Jiang Zhu to ask about the situation of the contestants from various countries, and Jiang Zhu told me one by one. I carefully noted it down and began studying the question types tailored to them. The international competition is broadcast live throughout, with elimination at every stage. You either advance or fall behind. There's absolutely no room for any mistakes. Seeing me stay up late every night, my mother silently kept me company, sewing clothes by my side. My mother has a deep passion for fashion. She can recreate any clothing style from magazines, and with her excellent craftsmanship, she has already started to attract repeat customers. I believe that in the future, my mother's skills will allow us, mother and daughter, to live very well before the competition. My mother made me a new set of clothes for me to wear during the event. I happily put them on and said, wearing the battle gear sewn by my mother's own hands, "I'm sure to be invincible." My mother saw me off at the airport, repeatedly reminding me to be careful while abroad alone. I told her not to worry, but deep down, I wasn't confident either, as this was my first time traveling abroad in both lifetimes. At this moment, Jiang Zhu appeared before me, took my hand, and said to my mom, "Auntie, I'm the team leader, and she's the youngest member of the team. I promised to take good care of her." Seeing this, my mom heaved a sigh of relief. "Then I'll entrust my daughter to you. You must take good care of her." Jiang Zhu nodded earnestly. "I will, me." This sounds like a mother handing over her daughter to her future son-in-law at a wedding, doesn't it? Luckily, I'm still in elementary school, so I don't have to feel awkward about it, but throughout the journey, Jiang Zhu really took care of me. Not only did he arrange for me to sit next to him, but he also gave me the blanket he brought for himself. When we arrived abroad, he even taught me how to adjust to the time difference. I clung tightly to this golden opportunity, calling him Brother Jiang all day long and following him around. This annoyed my female teammate Zheng Minmin, who looked at me with disdain. It was clear that Zheng Minmin had a crush on Jiang Zhu, but she was clearly wasting her affections. He had no interest in her whatsoever. "You look so shabby. Your family must be broke, right? How dare you even come out to compete internationally?" Zheng Minmin sneered at me when Jiang Zhu wasn't around. "What's the use of you being richer than me? There are plenty of people richer than you. If the competition were about money, you wouldn't be the one winning awards, would you?" I shot back directly. Zheng Minmin snapped angrily. "I won't stoop to argue with a poor country bumpkin like you. Just wait to be eliminated in the first round. Don't worry, I'll definitely go further than you," I retorted disdainfully. At that moment, Jiang Zhu returned, and Zheng Minmin complained furiously. "This arrogant little brat is definitely here to drag us down. We might as well make her withdraw from the competition early." Jiang Zhu glanced at her, then at me, curling the corner of her mouth. "I think her grades will be better than yours." Zheng Minmin stomped her feet in anger, and that's exactly what happened. The competition began. The first round was an individual battle, with the rule being to eliminate half of the participants. As a result, half of the participants from our team were eliminated, including Zheng Minmin. In the second round, a one-on-one challenge match took place, where higher-ranked contestants got to choose their opponents first. Those selected had to accept the challenge or forfeit by default. I was chosen by a contestant from Country B, while Jiangsu picked an opponent from Kimkai Country. Other teammates also found their challengers one after another. The competition was intense, and in the end, only 2 members remained in our team, Jiangsu and me. Round 3, team competition. At this point, both Country B and the Bear Country still had 4 team members left. Country A had 3, while other nations, like us, were down to just 2 or 1 person. Everyone began predicting that the top 3 would essentially be Country B, the Bear Country, and Country A. Jiangsu and I exchanged glances, both seeing the stubbornness and defiance in each other's eyes. Jiangsu started strategizing with me on how to face the opponents. I'm quick at mental calculations, so I'll handle the computation part. I've noticed your strong logical thinking. You take charge of problem solving. I nodded in agreement, relying on my memories from my past life. I had studied a lot of mathematical logic, which was indeed my advantage. Just as Jiangsu and I finished discussing and she had left, Zheng Minmin arrived. She immediately confronted me, saying, "Jiangsu is mine. Our families are well matched in social status. A poor country girl like you could never marry into the Jiang family." I blinked innocently and said, "Big sister, I'm still celebrating Children's Day. Are you already trying to marry me off?" Zheng Minmin was taken aback. She looked at me and muttered, "Little brat." Then, she turned and left, heading straight for Jiangsu's room. But soon after, the sound of Jiangsu driving her out of the room could be heard. I think it's quite a pity because Zheng Minmin is actually very beautiful. The fact that she could come to compete shows that she is highly capable. She and Jiangsu would make a perfect match, both talented and from well-matched families. It would have been great. What a shame, what a shame. The flower has its intention, but the stream is heartless. Smack tilde. I was just lost in thought when someone hit me on the head with a book. I looked up and saw Jiangsu. He glared at me coldly. "Make a decision now. What are you spacing out for?" I pouted my lips. All work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. The competition topics I just outlined. You must study them all tonight. Jiangsu tossed me a booklet densely packed with question types and examples. I've also outlined some topics. Take a look. I handed him the booklet by my side. He took it, flipped through the pages, and looked at me with some surprise, saying, "Though the handwriting is a bit messy, the questions are indeed well chosen." I had the impulse to hit him, but well, he's tall and strong. I couldn't take him, so I gave up. He suddenly reached out and patted my head. "This is the first time our country has qualified for the competition, so we have to win a prize." I froze for a moment. I joined the competition just for a better future for myself. My vision wasn't that grand. I timidly asked, "Would a bronze medal do?" Winning a prize is our goal. At least what prize it is doesn't matter. We'll do our best, and don't put too much pressure on yourself." He comforted me. I nodded. The finals consisted of 5 rounds, with half of the participants eliminated in each round until the last round, where the remaining 3 teams would compete for gold, silver, and bronze. Jiangsu and I worked seamlessly together, overcoming every challenge and advancing all the way to the final round. Seeing the teams from Country B and Country A on the field looking at us with disdain, our national pride awakened in both Jiangsu and me. We reached a consensus. Even if just to prove ourselves, we had to win first place. But the teams from Country B and Country A are truly formidable, and the competition questions are insanely difficult. The final round consists of 3 stages. Country B and Country A won the first and second stages respectively. If we don't win the third stage, it means elimination. We must win. When the question appeared on the big screen, my mind went blank for a moment. But then, I glanced at the national flag embroidered on my clothes by my mother, and the image of her sewing under the lamp, stitch by stitch, made my brain quickly reboot. Ideas started flowing, and I immediately picked up my pen to write. Jiangsu watched me write, his eyes lighting up as he immediately began calculating. I wrote out the steps, and he computed the result for each one. Snap tilde. We pressed the answer button 0.01 seconds ahead of them. The answer was correct. We've tied with them. This outcome stunned the entire audience. The looks on the faces of Team B and Team A members shifted from previous disdain to solemn gravity, causing Jiang Zhu and me to exchange a glance and finally relax. So far, we have achieved our goal, and no matter the final outcome, we can consider ourselves winners. Since the three parties were tied, the organizers made temporary arrangements, requiring an additional match to determine the winner in a single round, perhaps because we were relaxed. During the sudden tiebreaker, we remained calm inside, but when I saw the competition question, my eyes lit up. This was a question I had worked on with students in my previous life, and I had analyzed it particularly thoroughly. I skimmed through the questions in no time and swiftly wrote down the steps without the slightest pause. Jiang Zhu didn't have any doubts and immediately began calculating based on my steps. This time, we arrived at the result 15 minutes earlier than Country B. While Country A was half a minute slower than Country B, as the 5-starred red flag fluttered in the wind at the competition venue, Jiang Zhu cast an approving glance and said, "I didn't expect you to be so patriotic." Me, Jiang Zhu, in that previous match, I thought you were about to give up. But then I saw you glance at the national flag on your chest, and your eyes lit up again. That stubborn little look of yours was pretty cool. I laughed and deliberately puffed out my chest. Of course, Jiang Zhu, you're not exactly modest, kid. I puffed out my chest even more. How can we be modest when we're already #1 in the world? Jiang Zhu patted my head and smiled. Right, we're the best in the world. We're the greatest. This was China's first time winning an international competition. When we returned home, the airport was packed with crowds of people welcoming us, along with many journalists, in the crowd. I spotted my mom at first glance and rushed over to hug her. Just as I was about to rush to my mother, she was suddenly pulled away, and Mrs. Xu stepped in front of me, declaring to the crowd, "This is my family's child bride, my daughter-in-law." Instantly, the place erupted in chaos. The media and everyone's attention turned to me. I couldn't let her slander me like this. "Auntie, don't talk nonsense. I have both parents and grew up in my own home. I haven't eaten a single grain of rice from your family. How could I be your child bride? You were born to be our family's child bride. This is what your family owes ours. If you don't believe me, ask your dad." Mrs. Xu said triumphantly. My father immediately stepped forward to defend Mrs. Xu. "That's right. Before you were even born, I promised you'd be Axel Shu's wife. This is feudal thinking, and I won't accept it," I retorted loudly. "The one who owes their family is you, not me." Hearing this, my father raised his hand to hit me. The next second, Jiang Zhu stopped him. Jiang Zhu, a 15-year-old boy, had already grown taller than my father. "She's now a national treasure. If you damage her, you can't afford the consequences. I'm hitting my own daughter, even if I beat her to death. It's my family's business. Who do you think you are? Let go of me." My father, humiliated and enraged, shouted. Jiang Zhu ignored him. With just a glance, security personnel immediately restrained my father. The leading teacher was an elderly professor from Capital University, Dean Jiang. Fuming with anger, he exclaimed, "Utterly foolish. You're younger than me, yet more old-fashioned than this old man. This is New China, not the Republic of China era. How can there still be child brides? People like you are the cancer of New China." Mrs. Xu glanced at the old professor, noticing his plain attire, and jumped up to scold him. "You old fool, you're the stupid one. What right do you have to meddle in my family's affairs? She is now a student at our school, and as her teacher, I have a responsibility to protect her. This matter is settled." Dean Jiang's face turned cold and stern as he said, "Young lady, don't be afraid. Once we return to school, I'll have the academic office transfer your records and move your household registration to the school. Parents like these aren't worth keeping." I quickly grabbed my mother and said, "My mom is good." Dean Jiang glared at me and retorted, "Then your worthless father isn't worth keeping either." I nodded repeatedly. Under the tight security of the guards, my dad and Shu's mother couldn't get close to us at all. My mom and I were escorted all the way back to the school dormitory. Only then did I ask her, "Mom, have you ever thought about divorcing Dad?" My mom hesitated and said, "The ladies who come to have clothes made are all quite progressive. When they heard about our family situation, they advised me to divorce and leave your dad, saying a woman shouldn't spend her life suffering for a man who isn't worth it. So I have actually been thinking about divorcing him lately, but I'm afraid your dad won't agree to let me have you." I breathed a sigh of relief upon hearing this. What I feared most was that my mother would be too attached to my father to agree to a divorce. Now that she was considering it, things would be much easier. I curled my lips into a smile and said, "Don't worry about that, I have a plan." Early the next morning, I returned to the compound with the latest gaming console I had bought for Axel Shu. Axel Shu grabbed the console and immediately ran off without even giving me a second glance. It suddenly occurred to me that in my previous life, Axel Shu had married me only because of our parents' arrangement. He never truly understood love, let alone loved me. What he felt for me was nothing more than an inexplicable sense of possessiveness. My father was quite smug when he saw me coming home, saying, "Could it be that you and your mother can't support yourselves and have come back to beg me?" I straightened my little face, raised my head, and glared at him coldly. "Dad, you and Aunt Shu are old flames, aren't you? You've been sleeping together, haven't you?" Hearing this, my father flew into a rage. "What nonsense are you spouting? You still want to lie to me and Mom, don't you?" Auntie Jong next door said Aunt Shu is already 2 months pregnant and is going to give me a little brother. I said with a face full of grievance, "How is this possible? She couldn't be pregnant." My father jumped up like a cat whose tail had been stepped on. Aunt Jong ran into Aunt Shu at the hospital's obstetrics and gynecology department. "Aunt Shu is indeed pregnant. Dad, how long are you going to keep lying to me and Mom?" I demanded loudly again. "No, it can't be." Upon hearing this, my father rushed out like a madman. Seeing this, I wiped the expression from my face and curled my lips into a smile. I found a booklet in Mrs. Shu's safe, which was a diary written by Mr. Shu. The diary revealed that although my father and Mr. Shu appeared to be close brothers, their bond was actually stronger than gold. They were true lovers. However, society, the times, and morality did not permit it, so they painfully followed their family's arrangements and married others. After marriage, my father still deeply loved Mr. Shu, but Mr. Shu fell in love with Mrs. Shu, so on the day of the flood control, Mr. Shu confessed this to my father. In a fit of anger, my father pushed Shu's father into the floodwaters. Shu's father was rescued too late. Before he died, he begged my father to take care of his wife and child, especially emphasizing that Shu's mother must not remarry. My father agreed, so all these years, he has been guarding Shu's mother and son on behalf of Shu's father, also preventing Shu's mother from remarrying. In the previous life, after having an affair and getting pregnant with someone else's child, Shu's mother deliberately set up my father to sleep with her, claiming the child in her womb was his. Feeling guilty towards Shu's father, my father aborted the child in Shu's mother's womb and then killed himself by crashing into Shu's father's grave. In this life, I often give Aunt Jong some gifts, asking her to keep an eye on Shu's mother. If she finds out Shu's mother is pregnant, she must notify me immediately. No sooner had I returned to the county town than Auntie Jong seized the opportunity of visiting my mother to tell me about this matter. "I won't arrange for my father to get into Shu's mother's bed anymore. Let's see how she explains her way out of this lie." After all, she made a solemn vow before Shu's father's coffin and in my father's presence, swearing she would never betray Shu's father. This time, I'm eager to see how my father will handle it. I took the peanuts, melon seeds, and soda I bought to Aunt Jong's house. Aunt Jong had a look of schadenfreude on her face as she laughed while recounting what Mother Shu had said. I just listened, grabbing a handful of melon seeds to crack open. Aunt Jong was notorious in the neighborhood as a gossip. In her eyes, there wasn't a single good woman besides herself. I had just finished cracking a handful of seeds when my dad, dragging Mother Shu by her hair, pushed and kicked her into the house as she wailed and screamed. Then, I heard my father's roar, "How dare you not behave like a proper wife? How dare you go out and fool around? I'll beat you to death," accompanied by Mrs. Shu's screams. The commotion immediately drew a crowd, everyone curiously asking what was going on. I gave Aunt Jong a look, and she exaggeratedly said, "A few days ago, I happened to run into her at the hospital. When I went up to ask, I found out she was pregnant, and casually mentioned it to Luna. I quickly chimed in, among all the men around her, my dad treats her the best. I thought my dad and her were going to give me, and Axel Shu, a little brother, so I came to ask my dad. But he said he'd been sterilized long ago, so there's no way it could be his child. TSK, that woman is just too promiscuous. Not only is she seducing your dad, but she's also got another man outside. How wild, a woman like that deserves to be beaten to death. Hearing this, someone started gossiping. I wonder whose child she's carrying in her belly. Someone scoffed. Didn't she sell herself before? Who knows if this time it's the same, and she just got accidentally pregnant. No matter how she got pregnant or whose child it is, judging by the noise, it sounds like it might get beaten out of her, someone said, eager to stir up trouble. What are you all talking about? At that moment, Axel Shu walked in holding his game console. Aunt Jong seemed to be teasing him and deliberately asked loudly, your mom is pregnant, going to give you a little brother. Did you know? Axel Shu nodded. I know. The crowd gasped, all looking at Axel Shu in disbelief. Aunt Jong asked again, then who did your mother have this brother with? Did she tell you? Axel Shu nodded once more. She told me. Everyone's curiosity was piqued, and they all asked, whose is it? Axel Shu replied, Uncle Jong's. My mom said Aunt Jong couldn't have children, so my mom helped him have a son. In the future, the Jong family's house will all be ours. Hissed Tilda. Hearing this, everyone gasped in shock. Just moments ago, Aunt Jong, who had been gloating, now rushed forward, gripping Axel Shu's shoulders with both hands and shaking him violently as she demanded, don't you dare spout nonsense. Child, my old Jong is the most honest man there is. Axel Shu didn't even take her seriously, shouting loudly, every time you're on night shift, my mom stays at your place. All the eggs your chickens lay are eaten by me. Aunt Jong often had to work night shifts at the textile factory. At this point, everyone looked at Aunt Jong with sympathetic eyes. Aunt Jong burst into wild laughter, and after laughing, she released Axel Shu, grabbed a hatchet, and rushed out. Everyone shouted, she must be going to settle scores with old Jong. Hurry after her, don't let her do anything foolish, whooshed Tilda. Everyone dashed out, some genuinely chasing after Aunt Jong, but most just eager to watch the commotion. The courtyard suddenly became quiet. Inside the house, my father seemed to still be scolding and hitting Shu's mother, whose cries had grown faint. I thought Axel Shu would go to help his mother upon hearing her cries. Instead, he acted as if he hadn't heard anything and sat aside to play video games. I asked him, didn't you hear your mom crying inside? Axel Shu didn't even look up as he replied, my mom told me that whenever she's alone with a man in the room, no matter what sounds she makes, I should pretend not to hear, even if she's crying. I was instantly speechless. Since no one was around to watch the commotion, I naturally left as well. 2 hours later, the police came to the dormitory looking for my mom, saying that my dad had killed Shu's mother, and then he crashed and died in front of Shu's father's grave. I quietly muttered, now that's true love. I accompanied my mom to the police station to give a statement. Then, my mom took care of my dad's and Mrs. Shu's remains, giving them a proper burial. As for Axel Shu, my mom called his grandparents in the countryside to come and claim his body. Eventually, Axel Shu was taken by them to the countryside. I heard that he came back a few times afterward, always looking for me and my mother. However, my mother and I had already sold the house and moved to Jingshou. Precisely to avoid any further contact with him, my mother's tailor shop reopened in Jingshou, and the business has been thriving ever since. As for me, after entering the Gifted Youth program, I became Jiang Zhu's junior sister and often followed him to various competitions, winning awards and prize money. After graduation, Jiang Zhu hoped I would join his research team to pursue scientific research. I refused and instead joined the largest financial company in the capital. Having lived a second life, I knew that for ordinary people at the bottom, money was the real king. With my keen sense for numbers, I started making money as soon as I entered the market. Every year, I would donate half of my earnings to charity and established a mathematics fund to help children learn math. Gradually becoming a renowned philanthropist, From my past life, I've learned that you can only afford to be kind-hearted when you have money, otherwise, good intentions without means are futile. By the age of 23, my personal assets had already exceeded 100 million, making me a well-known financial manager and philanthropist in the industry. Yet, I only bought a modest 2-bedroom apartment of just over 70 square meters, just enough for my mother and me. 2 lifetimes have taught me that having money doesn't necessarily mean you have to spend it. Having money is about giving yourself confidence. At the age of 24, I agreed to Jiang Zhu's marriage proposal. Jiang's mother didn't like me much at first, saying I came from a humble background, but when she found out my bank balance, she was shocked into silence. 2 years after marriage, I gave birth to a son and decided not to have more children. Both Jiang Zhu and I were busy, and he said, since we don't have much time to spend with our child and can't give them enough companionship, it's better not to have more. He thinks this way mainly because when he was a child, his parents were too busy to spend time with him. He often felt lonely, spending hours alone in his room studying this and that. He doesn't want his own child to experience the same. Of course, I fully agree with his perspective. Jiang Zhu is busy with scientific research, and I'm busy earning a living, but we've agreed to set aside one day every week to spend time with our child together. The child is mostly raised by the grandparents, who want to make up for what they missed with Jiang Zhu. Since we don't have much time to take care of the child ourselves, it's a win-win situation.